Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking. Excuse the presentation of my room right now. This is a rather spontaneous video, as you can imagine. I just didn't want to waste any time to address recent events, basically. So, I haven't mentioned this up to now, but because I wanted to wait until episode 3 of season 2 of The Mutant Girl came out to address any casting issues I was having. But I feel like it's appropriate to mention things now because episode 3 is finished editing. It's being mastered. The audio is being developed by Mason as per usual. So I just await his fantastic work done now, and then the episode can be uploaded as one would expect. That's all. That's all fine. But so the end result is near, but the journey was quite rocky for this one. I don't know if anyone remembers, but back in April 2019, April 1st, 2019 actually, I did a bit of an April Fool's video on my cast who were not really paying attention, messing around during recordings, and I basically had a massive go at them as partially part of a prank. That was for the recordings of episodes 2 and 3 of season 1 of Mutant Girl, so I guess it's quite poetic that things have come full circle now. But the thing is, that's carried on. Like, I mean, yes, it was a bit of a prank at first, and it shook people up to see me address that kind of thing there. And for a while, it seemed to actually die down, even besides that. But this time I'm being serious. Like, it's not funny anymore. So, so there are two sessions I was talking about. One has recently just finished, and it's for Puppy Love episode 2, but another one is for Mutant Girl season 2 episode 3. The latter one was done some time ago, actually, and it was and actually that one was done separately. So there are a few people who have done their lines who did their lines with me, and they were fine. But it was the recording I did with Aiden, Natasha, and Nasib that was the huge issue. Now, Natasha and Nasib, well, and Aiden as well, actually, now I think about it, they're usually quite rowdy anyway, but for some reason they were particularly out of control this time. And of course, as it goes, due to time zones, usually whenever there's a good time to actually record for everyone else, it's usually quite late for me. I don't know if you can see, but I'm pretty sure my eyes are slightly red. It is past 11 at night. It is dark outside. So, yeah, again, presentation of the room. So usually, I end up sacrificing my schedule to suit the needs of others, which makes sense. I'm prepared to do that because I'm the one who is usually in the other time zone compared to everyone else who are slightly earlier. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I get that. But at the same time, as the night progresses, and as I get gradually hungrier, and as dinner is supposed to be happening at the same time, the fact that I'm already sacrificing that time anyway, I should really be spending with family, to be perfectly honest, it's gonna affect my mood quite considerably. So that's kind of what happened recently. Twice. In a row. For those two recordings. So for the first one, I ended up actually shouting at the pair of them. Sometimes it's because I cut out, but other times it's because they weren't actually listening. By pair of them, I mean Natasha and Nasib. Well, Aiden as well, actually. I mean, even him with stealing the lines from other people when it was not his cue to do so, and it benefits no one by doing that. Like, I will say this right now. Stealing someone's line in a script and reading it out yourself does not help. Anything that is not said, that there's not a line in the script that is said by the person meant to be saying it, will be cut from an episode. It's that simple. So even saying a line to progress the story does not progress said story. if you're not the person who's meant to say it? You know, you would have thought that would be blatantly obvious, but apparently I have to state these things sometimes. Again, as you can see, I'm not in the best of moods right now. And that is so, and honestly, that kind of thing, like I'll talk about this later, but in that first recording session, that actually ended up costing me Naseeb as a member of Buttercore, and potentially Natasha as well, because it was something that they did together, and Natasha worries about her not enjoying it as much anymore. Which fair enough, I guess. Like, if that is something that they seem to like bring them a bit closer together anyway, even if they did butt heads a lot during recordings. But they butt heads all the time, so that makes sense. But yeah, I ended up saying that that's the level of professionalism I was going to get, that I wasn't prepared to do anything else like react to other people and whatever. And Naseeb got quite annoyed about that. Normally I would say rightfully so, but in this instance I'm pretty sure that she's the one who drew the line first and not me. Like, if I were to apologise for that and I thought I did wrong, I would have done so already, just to clarify. But yeah, that brings me on to Puppy Love. So, you know, a series that Natasha and Naseeb aren't involved in. I mean, Aiden is. I mean, and he was a lot better in this recording anyway, like, except until, like, the very end, where he started to go and say his lines that he had to say before we got to his part, which is equally annoying when you're trying to record something chronologically. That was kind of dealt with anyway. Like, that wasn't too bad. What was bad was the fact that BB in particular seemed to want to ad-lib his way through the entire thing. Now, in the past, his ad-libs have been fine, but I feel like I gave him a bit too much freedom in order to actually explore that. Because the thing is that, obviously, when you write a script, you have foreshadowing, and you have plot points that you want established to move forward. And sometimes, when someone doesn't read a line as it is said, or doesn't realise, or doesn't bother to actually address the idea of what is supposed to be implied by the precise wording of the script, it doesn't work. And you have to do it again, and again. And if the person keeps ad-libbing, you have to do it again, and again, and again, and again. By which point, when you start off outside and the sun is fine, well, you get the idea. So, yeah, needless to say that probably, I don't know, given that most shows that I do tend to be about less than 10 minutes long, Puppy Love is slightly longer, so let's go 15 at most to be conservative. I'm not sure, I haven't timed them yet. 15 minutes, took 2 hours to record. People wonder, actually, sometimes, like, people ask me, like, when's the next episode coming out? Why does it take so long? Well, guess what? The reason is because the more audio I have to edit through, the more fluff I have to remove from an actual clip and stick into another, the more time it takes. So doing visuals nowadays is much easier for me because I know what I'm doing. I have better software. I've got keyboard shortcuts. I can edit it fine. The visual stuff, 2 or 3 days at most, unless I've got something else going on, like a quiz or whatever. Like that's happened recently. But yeah, 2 or 3 days at most. The audio can take weeks because sometimes I have several clips of several hours long, and even when I have the time to like sit down and actually listen to everything, sometimes these certain emotions that I get from hearing those things back, they just come back to me, so I have to step away because I get too stressed during the editing of them. And yeah, sometimes outtakes are funny. But the thing is, outtakes are funny usually because they're unintentional. Sometimes people will mess up a line. They'll read it slightly wrong, or they won't get the idea, or maybe they'll like miss something accidentally. It's looking to make outtakes doesn't work. That's why bloopers are always the bits that people mess up on, because that's what's funny about them. So, needless to say that especially some other ad libs that clearly aren't going to make it in there, or certain voices that clearly do not match what is being said or the tone of the scene. In fact, you know what? That's another thing. The tone of the scene as well. Because if people are just going to read out whatever they want and not pay attention to what the script is saying, they won't get the tone of the scene that's supposed to happen. So everything becomes a massive joke when it's not supposed to be. An incredibly tense scene can suddenly be paced horribly because no one can read their lines in time or actually what's on the script. And sometimes people mess up, you know, because they have reading issues. I get that. That happens a lot. But the thing is, that's when outtakes come in, and because that's the thing people mess up on, that's suddenly funny. I get that. But not when it's deliberate and not when it's all the time for 2 hours straight. There are probably other things, but I realised I forgot to filter out Walking Wednesday on here, and I've got like 3 minutes of recording time left. So basically, I'm going to do something about this. I can't physically put myself through listening in. You know, at first it's fun when we start off, we're all joking about. At first it's okay, but then eventually gets to a point where it's not funny anymore, and it's not fun to listen to, and it just gets stressful. I can't physically put myself through that anymore because obviously I lose a lot of sleep anyway. It's going to catch up eventually. I'm pretty sure it already has. Like, I'm even looking into the camera that's already filtering out a lot of stuff like facial hair and acne spots or whatever. I can tell already that my eyes look slightly red on here, and that speaks volumes. So I need to do something about that. So basically from now on, no more recording lines with Craig. Well, not with Craig. I mean, as in with everyone together. I'm not gonna put the effort in to bring everyone into a recording session and direct every single person through. And in fact, actually, most voice acting projects will not do that. If you're in-house and you're in a recording booth, yes, sometimes they will do that. People sometimes are more hands-on or more hands-off. I used to be hands-on. I'm going to take my hands off. That's what's going to happen now. So, essentially, most gacha projects nowadays, actually, or most wrestling projects in general, actually, that I've auditioned for, whatever, I will look at the script, I will actually get the context of what I'm saying, and I will try several different ways of saying the line. A bit like everyone did for the auditions. So everyone managed to actually they do different takes, slightly differently. And maybe if you have a funny ad lib, that would be a good way to do it. You know, if you think something's going to work, like, for example, Gulpy, which doesn't make any sense right now, that works. But if you think that might work, but you're not entirely sure, or, you know, there's clearly something else that's going on in the script, then that's a good chance to do it. Do one take with, one take without. It's easy. So yeah, from now on, please send in your lines as actual audio files. If you don't know how to do that, I will show you how. But I cannot be directing it anymore like this. If I need redirections, I will ask for them. That's how it's going to be from now on. It needs to change. For my health, my sanity, and just for overall productivity. So, yeah. On that note, until next time, farewell.